right. Welcome back. It's time for our next keynote session as we focus on culinary tourism. And yes, that's right. We have a very, very esteemed speaker joining us this morning. And I'm sure all of you are enjoying the sessions thoroughly, right from our first opening session to the panel discussion as well. And here we are with our next keynote session. I do believe that when we're talking about our session topic, for that matter, we do believe that industry has witnessed transitions, like an increasing focus on the health and safety protocols, usage of technology, and popularity of dark kitchens that have been the talk of the town. In fact, there has emerged an excellent opportunity to look beyond the usual. Now, who could have thought that food will become the hashtag bay and help us survive the lockdown period? And this fad further unlocks an amazing opportunity for the Indian hospitality industry. That is culinary tourism, a marriage between foodgasm and wanderlust. Gastronomical treks could actually be a game changer for the industry, especially in times when domestic tourism is witnessing green shoots. Now, to discuss with us more about the same, we in fact have with us an amazing speaker. He's a celebrity chef, restaurateur, a TV show host, and MasterChef India judge, an author, and food film producer, none other than Chef Ranveer Brar. And I know that as I take his name, all of us are widely smiling on the other side of the screen because his popularity on television is also matched by his tremendous fan following on social media as well. In fact, as we all know, that he has also pioneered the first ever Twitter video show called Ranveer on the Road, covering new destinations each season and exploring their cuisines and cultures as well. In fact, during 2020 lockdown, he has pioneered new shows encouraging people to cook at home and with minimal ingredients. He's also partnered with various organizations during the COVID crisis to run fundraisers and beneficiaries ranging from daily wages to farmers, and also with the hashtag Bring Them Back campaign. So yes, we've all been eagerly looking forward to listening to his thoughts, and he will be joining us in just a couple of seconds to share his insights around the culinary tourism, which has also been his forte. While he's all been bringing smiles to us during the lockdown with his words and with his shows as well, I think it's also befitting to listen to his expertise during this time that we are looking forward to at the Food Connoisseurs India Convention. Stay with us, and meanwhile, please do keep the questions posing right here on the screen. I do believe that we have some time wherein we take questions from you all. There are some questions that we are able to accommodate and some we are not, but let that not stop you from sharing your questions to us all. Please keep sharing it, and we'll have our master chefs, we'll have our panelists, we'll have our guests answer them for all of you. So on that note, we're about to get the session started. Stay with us. And I can already see the questions coming. That's right. I love the enthusiasm coming in from our attendees. While we are switching between the sessions, do also take some time to visit the booths, because that's where all the brands are there and you can connect with the brands. So do take some time off to do that. At the same time, keep the tweets coming. Let all the conversations that you're witnessing over here, let it also be shared across different social media platforms to let the world know the kind of discussions that we're having. Yes, I'm going to request you all to please do that. Stay with us, and Chef Ranveer Brar is joining us in just a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, for all the attendees who have just joined us, let me inform you that we had a very interesting opening session by Mr. Sanjeev Kapoor. And I think some of the interesting key points that we all managed to take away is the fact that this is a time for all of us to be more entrepreneurial. And most importantly, if we are switching to content, be more consistent. And I think it comes from the fact that most of the work that they've been doing offline has been so consistent that also allowed them to create that kind of a brand image online. And I think it's the same for all of us to follow, is no matter what we choose, no matter what we pick, to be more consistent. With that, we have with us Chef Ranveer Brar joining in. Hearty good morning to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us here at the Food Connoisseurs India Convention. I did my introduction about you, and while I was was doing that, I was mightily smiling because that's what you do, sir. To all of us across the screens, we smile when we take your name. So with that, without any further delay, I'm going to hand it over to you. Over to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure speaking to an audience the stature that I'm speaking to. Uh, I've been told to speak on culinary tourism, but before that, I just want to check if everybody's doing all right. If you are doing all right, please help people whatever way you can who are not doing all right in these times. And if you're not doing all right, please reach out for help. Social media is an amazing, amazing tool. This is the time that we need to take care. We just can't be unaware of the times that we are in. Having said that, happy to be here, happy to speak about a topic that's extremely close to my heart. I've always felt that we've only hardly skimmed the surface when it comes to culinary tourism per se. Because we've only focused on one end of the spectrum. We only focused on what you get on the plate and tried to lure people with that. I think culinary tourism, like any other tourism, has got to go more experiential, and that is what our conversation with the Ministry of Tourism has been. That's what our conversations throughout have been. How do we make it? How do you make culinary tourism less symbolic and more effective? We're living in times where social media is playing a big and important part in decision making, and a lot of people come to the country with a certain image that's born out of social media. That image today is not born out of postcards or photographs clicked by people that get published only in print magazines or advertisements. What people are seeing on social media is real people doing real travels, meeting real people, eating real food, and hence it will be unfair for us as an ecosystem not to give them what they expect when they come here off the image that has been created on social media. And I think it's very, very important that we keep it real. There are certain tools that we've always used in the culinary tourism space. And I'm purely talking from an industry perspective right now, not from me as a traveler. I'll come to that later. But those tools have been chef demos, cookery demos, or special meals, special luncheons, which are essentially extremely product focused. I think people today are looking for not just the product, but the story behind the product, the people behind the product, the culture behind the product. And I think that's where culinary tourism is headed. That's where it logically should be headed. I think it's important. It's important for people who are responsible for culinary tourism, including us, to give the tourist a little more than the usual meal at an Indian restaurant, or a cookery demonstration by a chef, or a photo op in a spice market. I think it's very important because people take back memories of people. It's very important to allow people to connect with people, to know the real stories. Food or any other art form cannot be looked at in isolation from culture. It's very important that we keep food culturally relevant. It's very important that that we have people who can speak both about the culture of a place and how food sits in that culture, or how that culture essentially is built around food. I strongly believe in that cultures are built around agriculture, and the core of agriculture is food and fabric, of course. But it's very important to start from culture first if you want to talk about food tourism. It's very important for people not just to meet the end product sitting in a silver thali. It's also important for them to meet the product in its original form, meet the original people who created that dish, or at least know about the original people who created the dish, and have that set in a cultural context. I always say we live in a time where recipes are meaningless. We at some point in time, recipes used to be the thing because the world wasn't driven by the internet. The world wasn't driven by this overflow of information that we live in. The world was purely driven by word of mouth, and recipes were really, really important. In today's world, recipes are not an asset. They're available everywhere. What is an asset is the connect to a recipe, and that's what people are looking for. And if at a culinary tourism level we are able to establish that connect to a recipe, we would be able to create an emotion that's long lasting, that's long standing, that allows us and allows people who are traveling to our country to connect to a food, to just more than a recipe that they saw in a food demonstration. I think that is the core and the future of culinary tourism of our country. It has to go beyond recipes, beyond cooking demonstrations, beyond a few lunches and dinners here and there. It has to go back to the farms where the food comes from. It has to go back to those dances that essentially, or that music that was always either harvest music or sowing music. It has to go back and connect to culture for people to genuinely take back an experience, because that's what they're coming from when they look at Instagram or when they look at Pinterest. They are not looking at a manicured image that was projected 20 years ago or even 10 years ago on a postcard or a magazine, or they're looking at real people, real stories, and that's what they come searching in our country. And that is what our endeavor should be, to deliver as food people, whether we are chefs or tour operators or just great foodies who run food tours. We have to deliver that India. We have to deliver real India with a very, very strong cultural connect to food. That's all that comes to my mind in the culinary tourism space. However, I would also want to take this opportunity to thank the industry for holding strong. I'd also like to create this opportunity for all the youngsters to tell them that times might be bad, but we are right here. The industry is stronger than ever. And as long as people have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you are a culinary student or a hotel management student, don't worry. As long as people have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'll have a job. We fulfill the most basic need of humans, the physiological need of humans. So we're not going anywhere. Times might be tough, but we are fighters, and we'll come back. With that, I'd like to conclude my keynote. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for allowing me to express myself and my feelings on the topic of why we should and we need to move beyond recipes in any aspect of food. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed, Chef Ranveer. In fact, all the questions that we were getting or the comments that we were getting, a lot of them being your huge fans, I believe your presence, your mere presence over here has literally sort of, given them the kind of direction and the positivity. Let me check with you if that's okay. Can we take one question? Would that be okay to your end?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. So I think one question, in fact, we have two questions, and though they're slightly generic, but it'll be important to get your views. First of being, according to you, what is the future of Indian food?
I think the future of Indian food is like I said, I see a more culturally connected cuisine. I see food that takes us back and then takes us forward. I see mindfulness as the future of our food. and that mindfulness will pervade the entire Indian food ecosystem.
Mindfulness it is indeed. Thank you so much. We'll quickly move on to the next question. Now, this is how can a restaurant develop a personality in itself?
I think the personality of the restaurant, or the personality of the visionary, automatically reflects in the personality of a restaurant. It's very important. I always say when we are opening a restaurant, it's very important to say who you are not, and that's how the personality starts forming. You need to check the boxes and say, who am I? Am I this? No. Am I this? No, no, no. And once you have all the no's on one side, then the personality starts forming. And I always say, it is always an individual that reflects in a restaurant, whether it's ideology, passion, values, principles, or just the personality per se.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing that you've shared with us. It's not just about what you know about yourself or who you are, but what you're not as well. I think these questions are just flowing in one after the other, but we only have that much time left. Maybe one final question, if that's okay. Your views on technology merging with tradition.
Oh, great. Fantastic. I wanted to sort of speak on that as well. I think the biggest today, and I'm going to say it blatantly, but today, the biggest fight that we are fighting is because we thought technology was somebody else's job. And I'm talking about the delivery ecosystem. If technology is telling us what we need to cook, we should embrace it now so that this conflict ends. We should own technology. I think that's very, very important. There is no food. There's no future of food without tech, right? And why should we not own and embrace tech? Why should a tech decide what food ecosystem should look like? And I think that's a really, really strong message that needs to go out. That in our ecosystems, in our DNAs as the food business, we should find resources and embrace tech and make it our own. So we don't ever get into this problem of tech deciding the direction of food and beverage.
I must admit, absolutely insightful point over there that you've shared, Chef Ranveer, in fact, to do with embracing technology now more than ever. On that note, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, all our attendees, stay tuned as we're about to get our next session started. And I can see from all the comments flowing in here how much you enjoyed listening to Chef Ranveer on his thoughts. And I'm sure we're all being huge fans of his work as well. And I think it's truly, truly befitting to implement those wonderful set of insights coming in from him. So on that note, what we're going to do now is quickly move on to the next session. Stay with us. We'll get our next set of speakers